All right, welcome back to the Built to Grow podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, joined by Randall Langston. What's up, man? It's a party over here. It's a party over there. ABT, always be testing. Gym owners, I don't know if this is a learned trait, a resistance. There's something here that keeps you from testing. And instead of testing, you wait to see what everybody else is doing versus trying to figure it out on your own. Now, that's not everybody, but I could say that there's more than, it's definitely weighted in the, hey, what's everybody else doing that's working, quote unquote, what should I do?
Yep.
And this could be as easily said as in marketing or pricing or services or times or how you pay your coaches. Like, there's a lot of things that you should be doing on a day-to-day, month-to-month, quarter-by-quarter basis that requires you to try things, okay? You have to try things, test things to see if they work or don't work. And the caveat to all of this is you reserve the right to change your mind.
Yeah.
You're allowed to change your mind, okay? So like here's a couple examples. You're going to put a time on the schedule. Maybe that's one of your slower times, or you don't have anything on your schedule. You're going to say, hey, we're going to inject a 12, a 1, and a 2 p.m. class session, whatever it is. And you're going to announce that because you want to see if people will adopt it, because you're dead during those times and you want to grow that. But you're going to test it for 3 months. And if nobody joins, we're going to cancel it. Or if it doesn't get to a certain point, we're just going to take it back off the schedule. That allows you to try things without being committed to them, because you don't know, like a lot of people, the chicken or the egg. Do I put it on my schedule with nobody in that session time? Or do I wait to sell it? Or when somebody asks me if I can do a 1 o'clock,
you hear that
do I edit
all the time? I want to open up this time slot, but I have nobody there yet. Do I go try and sell into it in order to put it on the schedule, or do I put it on the schedule and then have to backfill it?
Yeah.
And the chicken and the egg is a perfect analogy, right? Like, nobody's going to buy something that doesn't exist,
right?
And so if the time's not there, it's really hard to sell into that time. And I think the onus is on the business, right? You have to test it. You have to put it on the schedule. Sure, cost of serving that might be high in the beginning when you don't have the bodies in the room yet, but then it becomes a marketing situation or a sales situation, right? But it's not the time that you sit around and wait for people to ask, I need 6 clients to ask for this time before you put it on the schedule. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, let's just say you had one person ask, and then by the time you get the other 3 or 4, that first person's gone. They've figured out some other solution for themselves. So,
or they've moved on somewhere else.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what it is, or if it's just the way in general that the human is people are risk averse. I get it. That makes sense. But there's no willingness to give it a shot, knowing like there's going to be some hard cost involved just to find out. Because if you don't do that, you'll never know. This could be a marketing hook.
Marketing's a really easy way to see that.
We're like, it's ever since we were an agency, but even before we were an agency, I was constantly testing hooks in the market, trying different things, different plays, different, call it challenges or low barrier offers or trials or different ways to do things. And over those times, like, we created out of thin air, like the 5 trial styles are a great example. Most of those weren't what somebody else were doing. It's like what we tried here, and then we found 1 or 2 that worked, and then we rotate them. But if you just wait, gym owners, if you just wait to see what everybody else is doing, 1, it's going to be too late, and 2, you don't know if it really does work, because it's so funny. Ads again, a great example. You start seeing your competitors' ads all the time. Like if you're in a given market, you see your customers' ads.
Competition's ads.
Competition's ads. Because they're doing it, you think it's working.
It has to be working. Yep.
And this is a great example of testing something that isn't working and have somebody copy it and let them lose.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So it's like kind of like a win-win, right? Charging different rates. Trying like, hey, Okay, here's another good example. And again, we're just off the cuff on this episode because it's a global thing. This is just something we see. Let's just say your closing rate's great, 85%. You're basically closing everybody at your current rates.
Sure.
Why don't you try to test a little bit higher rates? Change your price structure around and go up 10%, 20%.
Was it Gary Vee that said, what's the right, price to pay, to charge people? It's what they're willing to pay. But you should be getting up to the limit, right? Where you start to get some no's. You know what I mean? But not all of them. And it is difficult. I mean, price is probably one of the harder ones to incrementally, raise, because the fear of bumping that up and then all of a sudden no new business is coming through.
Yeah. Here's the caveat with price changes. The person selling it has to be convicted in that price has got the value that you're going to give. It's going to be 1 for 1, or maybe you deliver 10 times what the price is, like in your head. If you ever get to a point where you believe people won't pay for this price, you're never going to sell it anyway.
Yeah, the internal belief. They're going to pick up on that for sure. I had a conversation with a coaching client last week. Same exact situation, right? And his problem was the people in the business had a hard time selling it because they themselves couldn't afford it.
That's such a catch-22, isn't it? And maybe it's your policies. Maybe it's, again, your schedule. Maybe it's how you incentivize your coaches. Don't wait for some guru or business coach or podcast to tell you.
Or your competition.
Or what your competition is doing to tell you. It's your obligation as a business owner to test the things in your business to see if they work better than the way you're doing them now. It's just part of being in business. And I don't care if you're risk averse, it's your obligation. So you have to try things, and it maybe won't work. And you have to go into it with like, hey, I don't know. It may work. If it doesn't work, great.
And that's why I would go, remove the emotion from the situation. Let the data be the decider, right? Yeah. And I think the emotion is what prevents gym owners from making the decision to test things. The fear of the unknown, the fear of my clients won't, all of those types of things. Until you've actually thrown it out there and gotten, the response, the data to tell you yes or no, it's 100% an assumption.
Yeah, you don't know.
You have no bearing of measurement, right? Yeah. And last week on our coaching call, we were talking about the client onboarding journey from lead being generated to the point of membership sale. And part of that conversation is like when that system's in place, when you've got nurtures, when you've got follow-ups, when you've got all these things that are taking place, how do you go and let's say you've got a low conversion percentage at one of those, you make a micro, or within that whole system, you change something within that conversion opportunity, and you allow the data to tell you, was this an increase in effectiveness or did this hurt our conversion opportunity? That data is going to be the answer for the effectiveness of that change, right? Yeah. But that's how you optimize systems. The goal is to have all of them working better all of the time.
Right.
But if you're not testing, you're literally just stuck at the status quo of what you've created once. And
here's a case in point that will resonate with everybody because it's so easy to understand. There was a group of gyms out there or coaches that would basically preaching to their market or to their, their gym owner clients of theirs that they needed to do a discovery call before the person shows up in person. And there was gyms already doing this that swore by it, and then there's gyms that weren't. And so we never did those. We would always try to push somebody into the consultation, and the reason is it's one less step that will drop your conversions. So, for example, the lead comes in, and instead of nurturing them to book a consultation in person, you nurture them to book a call. And then from that call, you try to get them to the in-person, because the in-person is where the sale's made 99% of the time. And so there was these gurus saying, hey, you need to do this discovery call. It's, you say you only got a few minutes, and you just try to take their call and you try to pre-qualify them. Well, if your current system wasn't broken, by adding that call in there, it could break it.
Absolutely.
But it could make it better, and you don't know the answer. So me seeing this, we just did a A/B split test, and we basically ran identical ads, one that was pushing to a call, one was pushing to an in-person, and we just spent double the money to see what would happen. And For us, the call was not a good. It was like,
I think it was 7-1.
okay, we had 7 more sales to 1 sale on, the in-person one, just straight to in-person one. Well, that's a test.
Yep.
And I'm willing to do those tests all day, every day. I'll try anything once to see if it improves our outcomes. If it doesn't improve it, then okay, we spent the $6,000, and now I don't have to ever listen to that claim that you need to have a call. But for some gyms, it works better.
Yeah.
And so for your gym, you can't listen to what I'm saying that I don't believe in it because, or the person that does believe in it. You have to test it yourself.
Yeah. What's the right answer? The one that works for you.
Right. And so it's very interesting. Yes, there's some things that will work globally for a lot of gyms, but not everything. And it's just really, really interesting to see so many gyms sitting on the sidelines, while their business is stagnant, waiting to see what's everybody else doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because you can't think of the things yourself or you're not willing to think of the things yourself. And then if you do think of them, maybe you have a great idea. You never test it. It's no knock. It's just a reality. This is what I'm seeing. And so I'm pushing you to test things. Test your pricing, test your marketing, test your schedules, test your roles in your gym. Like, hey, maybe we need a lead coach. Maybe we need somebody that's just in charge of customer outreach. Maybe we need a front desk person. Does the pros outweigh the cons? Like forever we had a front desk smoothie bar. It was bumping. It was awesome.
Sure.
I loved the shakes we had here.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't make enough money to make it worth it, but then the offset was they were answering the phone calls. There was a happy face when they're in, and they would work with clients to get their billing updated or whatever. There was a lot of things like
admin, yeah.
A lot of admin responsibilities. Well, eventually the price of the materials skyrocketed. And in order for us to make the same margins, we would have had to increase our shakes from like $8 or $9 to like $12, $13. And it was just like, dude, nobody's, like we tried it and nobody would pay it, and nor would they want to pay. It was like, with tax, like $16 for protein. And it was just during the COVID era. So when we got shut down, all these things, we just got rid of that front desk person. And do we bring them back? We've been talking about that, but like there's no, in our model, it's, we train on the hour, every hour. So you got a group of, you got people milling around the front from the 50 past the hour to 10 past the hour. And so for like 20 minutes of every hour, there's something going on. Well, all the rest of the work's picked up by Zach and Jolie and the rest of the team. So there is no need for it. To me, it'd be kind of a waste.
Sure.
But there would be no reason why you shouldn't test that, but we already know the answer.
Yeah.
So so you test personnel, you test roles, you test again the schedule. Maybe you test a style of training.
Do you have a different belief in your methodology? Do you want to bring something else in? Anything you could test in the business. Billing frequency is a big one. We've moved to weekly for a good reason.
Yeah, the weekly billing frequency for us, it was a tough choice.
Mm-hmm.
It made sense for the math. It made sense for the bite size at the point of sale. So we left kind of everybody alone, and we started testing at the sales. Sales were going great. And then we say, everybody's got to move to it. Then we moved everybody in the gym, and we automatically made more money because there was more billing
frequency.
Yeah, billing frequency.
Cycles. Yeah.
So just again, back to your business. It's your outcome is your responsibility as a gym owner. You're the leader. You're the man or woman in charge of your operations. It's your obligation to test things to see if they work, and they may not. You have to go into those things that, hey, they may not work, but we're going to try it, and we'll give it 3 months. And again, clients, we have reserve the right to change our mind and pull it right back off the schedule if it doesn't work. And that way they can't get mad at you. Like,
sure,
they could be upset, but they can't. But they told us they were testing it. So just do that. Like, stop waiting on the sideline. Do the things that you believe could move the needle, and you'll be so much further ahead than just sitting there and waiting.
I'd just kind of like a global, way to kind of figure out what you need to test in the business is like, where do you have consistent issues, or where do you feel like there's more opportunity than what you're getting right now. I think part of it is, like you said, like you don't know what to test or what, rather than like you're sitting on something. If you're looking at your business and you've got a problem that's consistent, go test a solution for that problem, right? Implement, change your system, optimize the system, whatever has to happen there, but do something. You know what I mean? If it's continually happening in your business. If you see greater opportunity, like you're not getting the results, whether it be marketing, whether it be sales, whether it be even, a client attendance. Okay, what can I do in this situation to increase the effectiveness of what I need to happen in this role or this position? Test it. Maybe it's added accountability. Maybe you're adding some automation and check-ins. Maybe you're putting somebody in that position to call on people who haven't been in a week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be. But you can't just sit around and expect something to change if you're not the one driving that change in the business.
Yeah. So that's a good point. I'm always talking about optimizing. You're talking about fixing problems. Same thing.
What has to happen? You know what I mean? Yeah. You test something new. You look at the response, the data, the input, the client feedback, all of those things. You take all of that and then you interpret it and you say, okay, cool, this is a win or it was a loss.
You got to evolve, change or die. There's so many stories of companies not changing because they were stuck in their ways. They weren't willing to test things. Man, imagine if Blockbuster would have tested a delivery service. Home delivery service. They had the market.
They could have wiped out Netflix and
it was Redbox. Yeah,
they could have took them. They had the market share. They had the audience. They had the people. They could have easily taken those out before they even got off the ground if they were willing to test themselves. They did. I think they did late.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tie two stories together you're not going to believe. So the CEO of Boston Market used to be the CEO of Blockbuster.
Oh my God.
Double whammy.
Yeah.
So if you guys remember that,
don't hire that guy.
he's still getting paid big money by big corporations. He also founded Einstein Bagels and one other thing. It was wild. All right, Hope. That's it. ABT. Always be testing, gym owners. It's your obligation to test, try, tweak, adjust, optimize, fix, and there will be risk involved. Just know that. But guess what else is a risk? Being in business. Okay, so this is the path you chose. Earn it, own it,
embrace it.
Brace it. That's it for this episode, guys. Hopefully that helped you. Until next show, keep changing lives. We'll see you on the next one. Bye. All right, thanks for listening to another episode of the Built to Grow podcast. If you want more help growing your business, join our free Facebook group, Profit Accelerator, helping training gyms grow to $30,000 a month and beyond. We'd love to see you there. Go check out the show notes for the link and keep building something great, and we'll see you in the next episode.